I want you to take a second and just look down at your hands. If you're behind the wheel right now, please keep your eyes on the road, but just feel the grip of your fingers against that steering wheel. Notice the lines etched deep into your palms, the calluses that have formed over 30, 40, maybe 50 years of showing up. Maybe your knuckles ache a little more than they used to when the weather turns, or after a long shift. These aren't just hands. They are the hands of a provider. They've built a life for people you love, brick by brick, dollar by dollar, year after year. You've put in the double shifts, you've said yes to the overtime when you really wanted to say no, and you've sacrificed your own sleep just so your kids and grandkids could have a solid floor under their feet and a sturdy roof over their heads. But as we sit here together today, I have a question that might feel a bit heavy, yet it's probably the most vital one you'll ever answer. You've built the house, but have you built the shield that actually protects it? We live in a culture that worships the grind. We're constantly told that as long as we keep moving, as long as we keep the paycheck coming in and the fridge full, our families will be okay. But you and I both know, deep down, that life is a fragile thing. You've reached a season now, those final years before you hang it up, whether you're in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, where the stakes feel higher than ever. This is the most sensitive stretch of your journey. Why? Because the enemy knows you're approaching the finish line. He knows you're looking toward retirement, toward your legacy, toward that moment where you can finally sit on the porch, breathe, and enjoy what you've spent a lifetime building. It's right here, in this specific window of time, that the spiritual attacks become the most calculated and quiet. The enemy doesn't just want to mess with your bank account. He wants to steal the piece of the home you've bled for. He wants to attack the fruit of your labor while you're busy out in the field, tending to the branches. I want to talk to you about something that isn't just a nice to have. It's a necessity for anyone still punching that clock in their later years, the divine shield. This isn't just some poetic phrase or a hallmark thought to help you get through a Tuesday. The divine shield is a spiritual reality. It's a covering that makes sure, while you're out there in the world, doing what you have to do to provide, there's a supernatural guard standing watch at the front gate of your home. We often mistake our hard work for our security. We think because we're physically present at the job, we're winning. But if your work isn't covered by a higher authority, you're essentially leaving the back door of your life wide open. Today, we're going to look at what it truly means to work hard. We're going to talk about the spiritual urgency of right now. You aren't just a worker, you're a watchman. You aren't just earning a living, you are defending a legacy. It's time to wake up to a responsibility that goes way beyond your bank balance. It's time to realize these final years aren't just about finishing the job, they're about securing the promise. I know the weight you're carrying. I know what it's like to wake up while the world is still pitch black, feeling that deep, dull ache in your lower back that's become your shadow. I know the sound of the alarm in the morning doesn't feel like an invitation anymore. It feels like a demand. You sit on the edge of the mattress for a minute, rubbing your knees, just waiting for the stiffness to loosen up enough so you can stand up and do it all over again. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that hits a person who's been the provider for 40 years. It's not just your muscles that are tired. It's a weariness that gets into your soul. You're tired because you've been the main pillar of that house for as long as you can remember. Everyone looks to you. Everyone leans on you. You feel like if you stop, the whole thing might just come crashing down. This fear of stopping is a heavy, quiet pressure. It's the silent anxiety of a father wondering if he's saved enough, or a mother taking on a few more years of work just to make sure a grandchild's college is covered, even when her feet are swollen and her heart is heavy. I see you out there on those late shifts, driving those long, lonely roads at 2 a.m. I see you squinting through the rain and the snow, your eyes tired from the glare of the oncoming headlights, all just to make sure the lights stay on and the bills are paid. I know you aren't doing it for the credit or the glory. You're doing it for the faces waiting for you back home. I want to tell you something today. You aren't just tired because of the job. The job is just tasks and hours. You are tired because of the massive weight of the love you're carrying on your shoulders. Love is a heavy burden when you feel like you have to carry it all by yourself. You feel like the safety of your entire family depends 100% on your ability to stay healthy, stay employed, and stay sharp. But let's be real for a second in the quiet of this moment. There are nights when you drive home and you feel completely invisible. You feel like a gear in a massive machine that would just replace you the second you broke down. You wonder if anyone actually sees the depth of the sacrifice you're making every single day. You worry about what happens if you aren't there. Who's going to stand in the gap? Who's going to protect the kids? This is the shared struggle of the provider. It's a quiet, lonely place to be. But I want you to know, you are not invisible to the Father. He knows exactly how many miles you've driven. He knows the weight of every tool you've picked up. He hears those silent, whispered prayers you say when you're all alone in the truck. He sees the love that fuels you, and he wants you to know you were never, ever meant to carry that love or that responsibility on your own. You're exhausted because you're trying to be the shield yourself instead of letting him be the shield for you. It's okay to say you're weary. It's okay to admit the road feels long. Being honest about that is the first step towards something better. You are seen, you are known, and none of your hard work is in vain. But we have to change the way you're carrying the load. The biggest danger you're facing in these final years of work isn't a physical injury or a company layoff. The real danger is spiritual burnout. We usually think of burnout as just being really, really tired. But in the spiritual sense, it's the draining of your inner light. It's what happens when you've given every ounce of yourself to the natural world and left absolutely nothing for your spirit. When you're physically run down, your spiritual guard naturally drops. Think about it. When you're sleep-deprived and stressed from a 12-hour shift, are you more or less likely to be patient with your spouse? Are you more or less likely to pray with any real focus? Are you more or less likely to notice the subtle ways the enemy is trying to cause friction in your family? When we're burnt out, we start to see cracks in our mental and spiritual walls. We stop being proactive and we start just reacting to everything. This leads to what I call the gap of self-reliance. Most of us have been raised to believe that self-reliance is the ultimate goal. We think if we just work hard enough and save enough, we'll be safe. But let's be honest, your bank account can't protect your daughter's heart. Your health insurance can't stop a spirit of heaviness or depression from knocking on your son's door. Your 401k can't guard your home against the unseen things that want to pull your family apart. If you're relying strictly on your own strength, you're leaving a massive gap. You're leaving your people vulnerable. Picture a shepherd who spent the whole day fending off lions and bears. He's brave, he's tough, and he loves his sheep. But eventually, that shepherd has to sleep. If he refuses to let anyone else help watch the flock, if he insists his own strength is plenty, the very second he nods off is the second the wolf moves in. You are that shepherd. You've been fighting for your family for decades, but you're human. You have limits. You get tired. You get distracted. And the enemy is a predator who just waits for that moment of total exhaustion. This is why human effort by itself is a losing strategy for protection. You can't outwork the enemy. You can't out-earn the devil. You need a power that's bigger than you. You need a shield that never gets tired. You need a guard that never needs a nap. You have to understand that your work is a natural job, but the protection of your family is a spiritual one. When you try to do the spiritual work using only natural tools, you're always going to end up burnt out and broken. We have to learn how to bridge that gap. We have to learn how to invite the divine into the daily grind so your family is covered even when you're too wiped out to stand. So how do we actually do that? How do we move from this exhausting cycle of trying harder into the peace of divine protection? It starts with a very small but incredibly powerful shift in your day-to-day routine. I call this the consecrate and cover ritual. It's built on the promises found in Psalm 91, which is basically the blueprint for the divine shield. You don't need to spend 3 hours in a prayer closet to do this. You just need to change the way you walk out your front door. For most of us, leaving for work is a scramble. You're hunting for your keys, grabbing your coffee, and already stressing about the traffic. But I want to challenge you to stop at the door. I want you to try something I call the threshold prayer. Before you step out into the world, turn back toward your home, maybe even put your hand on the doorframe and just say, Lord, I'm going out to work for this house today, but I'm asking you to stay here and guard it. I cover my husband, my wife, my kids, and my grandkids with the shadow of your wings. In Jesus' name, I declare that no harm is coming near this house while I'm away. That simple moment of consecration changes the whole atmosphere. You aren't leaving your home defenseless anymore. You're leaving it under the management of the Almighty. Then, when you get in your truck or arrive at the shop, I want you to learn to speak the word over the tools of your trade. If you drive, just touch that steering wheel and say, "This vehicle is a vessel of protection." If you're at a desk or a machine, say, "This work is blessed and it's going to bear fruit for my family." You're inviting God to be your business partner. This is how you turn hard work into blessed work. When you're co-laboring with God, you aren't the sole source of the supply anymore. He is. You're just the channel He's using. That takes the crushing pressure off your shoulders. Think about the word abide. Psalm 91 says, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." To abide just means to stay put. It means to remain. When you practice this little ritual, you're choosing to abide in Him even while your body is at the factory, the office, or on the highway. You're creating a spiritual link between your job and His protection. You're saying, "Lord, because I'm staying in your presence, you're going out ahead of me." This is your daily way of turning on the shield. It's the moment you stop being a lone wolf and start being part of a divine alliance. It covers you when you aren't there. It means while you're focusing on the task at hand, God is focusing on your family. This is the only way to get through these final years without losing your peace or your family. It's a small shift, but it changes the entire spiritual map of your life. To really see why we need this two-sided approach, we should look at the story of Nehemiah in the Bible. Nehemiah had a huge job. He had to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, but he wasn't just stacking stones. He was trying to restore a future for a people who had lost everything. He had enemies on every side trying to stop the work, mocking him, and trying to ruin what he was building. Does that sound familiar? You're trying to build a future for your family, and the world is constantly trying to throw a wrench in the gears. Nehemiah did something brilliant that we need to copy today. He realized the work would never get finished if the people weren't protected while they did it. In Nehemiah chapter 4, there's this powerful image. The builders worked with one hand on their tool and the other hand on their sword. They were working and watching at the same time. Nehemiah told the people in verse 14, "Remember the Lord who is great and awesome, and fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your houses." He didn't tell them to stop working and just pray, and he didn't tell them to just work and hope for the best. He told them to do both at once. Your job is your trowel. It's the tool you use to build the natural side of your life. Your prayer life, your spiritual covering, and your divine shield, that's your sword. For too many years, you might have been trying to build with both hands on the trowel. You've been so focused on the work that you've forgotten to carry the sword. And because the sword wasn't drawn, the enemy has been able to sneak in and sabotage the very walls you're trying to build. Look at the people I call modern-day Nehemiahs. They're the men and women who go to work with real purpose, but they never stop fighting for their families in the spirit. They know a paycheck is a tool, but prayer is a weapon. When you work with this dual warfare mindset, you become a problem for the enemy. He can't discourage you with a bad day at the office because your sword is already out. He can't strike your home with fear because you're busy remembering how great and awesome your Lord is. This is the balance. You work for the house, but you fight for the home. You provide the bread, but you call down the protection. Nehemiah saved a whole nation because he understood the work was only as good as the defense behind it. You'll secure your family legacy when you decide you're never going to pick up that trowel without also unsheathing your sword. As you move through these final years of hard work, you have to stay aware of the long-term risks that pop up when that divine shield is missing. There are two main attacks the enemy likes to use against people in your position. The first is what I call the legacy attack. See, the enemy doesn't just want to hurt you, he wants to steal your influence. He knows that in these years, you're supposed to be the patriarch or the matriarch. You're supposed to be the source of wisdom and strength for the whole family. So, he uses your absence, both your physical absence because you're at work and your emotional absence because you're wiped out, to stir up trouble at home. He wants your kids to remember a dad who was always exhausted and short-tempered rather than a dad who was a hero. He wants your spouse to feel like a roommate instead of a partner. He wants to plant seeds of division so that by the time you actually retire, there's no peace left to enjoy. Without the divine shield, you're basically working to buy a house that might end up feeling empty. The shield protects your influence. It makes sure your hard work produces a blessing, not just a bank statement. The second attack is late life discouragement. It's that sneaking feeling that your work doesn't really matter anymore, or that you're slowly becoming irrelevant. You start feeling like a ghost in your own life, just moving from the car to the job and back again, while the world zooms past you. You feel unappreciated. You feel like the younger people don't respect the sweat you've poured into the foundation. This discouragement is like a poison. It turns a provider into a cynic. It makes you bitter, and that bitterness is a dark cloud you bring right back through your front door. The divine shield isn't just about preventing accidents. It's about guarding your mind against that bitterness. It lets you come home with love in your heart instead of frustration in your soul. It reminds you that your work is actually an act of worship, not a life sentence of misery. When the shield is up, you start seeing your job through God's eyes. You realize every hour you put in is a seed you're planting for your family's future. You aren't fading away. You're reaching the absolute peak of your service. You are the most important person in the room because you're the one standing in the gap. Don't let the enemy lie to you and tell you your sacrifice isn't being noticed. Don't let him steal the joy of your final years. When you have the shield, you can work with your head held high, knowing your labor is building something that lasts forever and your heart is safe from the bitterness of discouragement. Everything we've talked about today is rooted in the authority of the Bible. If we don't have the Word as our foundation, we're just talking about self-help. But the Bible gives us a plan for this life that is absolutely unshakable. I want us to look closely at Psalm 127:1. It says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the guards stand watch in vain." That's a sobering thought for anyone who works hard. You can be the best builder in the world, the most diligent guard, but if God isn't the central partner in what you're doing, it's all in vain. The word vain just means empty. It means it has no lasting weight. Do you want your life's work to be empty? Do you want to get to the end of the road and realize you built a beautiful shell of a life that has no soul inside? As a provider, you are the watchman for your family, but your watching only counts when God is the one doing the actual guarding. You're the under-shepherd. He's the chief shepherd. When you realize that, a massive sense of peace and stability settles over your life. You don't have to stay awake all night worrying because you know the one who watches over you never gets tired and never sleeps. Then there's that beautiful promise in Isaiah 46:4. God says, "Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am He who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you." That is the heart of the Father for you, the mature worker. He's not looking for you to be a superhero. He made you, and He knows exactly what you're made of. He wants to carry you. He wants to sustain you through these final years. He doesn't want you to limp across that finish line. He wants to carry you over it. This is the stability the Word gives us. It tells us our labor matters, but God is the source. When you really get into the Word, you realize your gray-haired years are meant to be a time of sustenance, not just survival. You're being rescued from the trap of thinking it's all on your shoulders. You're being invited into a partnership with the great builder. When you anchor your life in these truths, you aren't building on sand anymore. You're building on the rock. And when the storms come, and they will come, the house you built is going to stand firm, because the Lord was the one building it and the Lord was the one watching over it. We're coming to the end of our time together today, but this is really just the start of a new chapter for you. I want you to take a deep breath and just let these truths settle into your spirit. These final years of hard work don't have to be a season of exhaustion and feeling vulnerable. They're meant to be a time of power and protection. You aren't just finishing a career, you are finishing a race. And the way you finish is even more important than how you started. You've got the trowel in your hand, but today I'm asking you to pick up the sword too. From this moment on, refuse to go to work without that divine shield. Refuse to let your family be unprotected while you're out there doing your best for them. You have the rituals, you have the model of Nehemiah, and you have the promises of the Word. You are now equipped to be the watchman your family truly needs. I want you to visualize your home right now. See your spouse, your kids, your grandkids. See them surrounded by a wall of fire that the enemy simply cannot cross. That is what happens when you activate that divine shield. I want to invite you to do something powerful right now. If you're at home or if you can safely do so, think about the people you're working for. I'd love for you to type their names into the comments, just their names, or even their initials. By doing that, you're making a public declaration that you're standing in the gap for them. You're saying, these are the ones I'm shielding today. As a community, we're going to look at those names and we're going to stand in agreement with you. We're going to pray that the divine shield covers every single person mentioned. There's real power when people agree together. And today, thousands of us are agreeing that your family is off limits to the enemy. I also want to invite you to stay connected with us. This is a journey, and the spiritual side of a blessed life goes deep. If this message gave you some strength today, please subscribe and join our community. We're here to help you decode the spiritual truths that turn a hard, weary life into a blessed one. We're here to stand with the providers, the workers, and the gray-haired warriors who refuse to quit. As you head back into your world today, whether you're going to the job, heading home, or just taking a quiet moment, carry this truth with you. You are not alone on that road. You are not alone at that workbench. You build the house, but let God guard the home. You've done the work of a builder. Now it's time to do the work of a believer. Go in peace, knowing the shield is up, the word is true, and your legacy is safe. Go in the strength of the Almighty and finish your race with real joy. You are protected, your family is covered, and your labor is holy. Go in peace today.